Meaning of True Love, Part 1. A Walk in the Park. In the heart of the city, a serene park stretched out beneath the afternoon sun. The soft rustling of leaves and the gentle hum of people strolling or sitting on benches filled the air. Birds chirped, and the distant sound of children laughing echoed as a light breeze rustled the trees. Amid the tranquility, Emma and Jack strolled side by side, their steps in sync with each other, though their thoughts were preoccupied with a much deeper topic. They had been friends for years, but today's conversation had a different weight to it. Both had been grappling with their own ideas of love, and as they walked through the park, the peacefulness of their surroundings gave them the perfect setting to finally speak about it.
Jack, have you ever wondered what love really means? I don't just mean the romantic butterflies in your stomach feeling. I'm talking about the deeper kind of love, the kind that lasts. What do you think true love is?
You've been thinking about that a lot lately, haven't you? I guess, for me, true love is about commitment, even when things get tough. It's about standing by someone through everything. What's made you start thinking about it?
I don't know. Maybe seeing so many relationships around me start off strong but fall apart in the end. It's made me question what real love looks like. Do you think love is supposed to be easy?
No, definitely not. I think love's supposed to challenge you. If it were easy all the time, it wouldn't be real. It's about growth, not comfort. What about you? What do you think makes love true?
I think it's about acceptance, not just of the good parts of someone, but the hard parts too. We all have flaws, but love means seeing those flaws and still staying. Do you think that's enough? Question, Jack, if you had to choose, what's the most important element of true love? A. Loyalty. B. Passion. C. Understanding.
Answer. C. Understanding. I'd say understanding is the foundation of true love, option C. Without it, you're just loving an image of someone. True love means truly knowing who they are, what makes them happy, what scares them, and still loving them anyway.
I completely agree. Love can't just be about the good stuff. It has to include the tough times too, the hard truths.
They continued their walk, passing by a group of children playing by the pond, their laughter light and carefree. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the park, making the scene feel almost timeless. Jack picked up a small rock and tossed it into the pond, watching the ripples spread out.
Do you think people are scared of true love because it's not as glamorous as they imagine? Everyone talks about romance, but they don't talk about the hard work that comes with it.
Definitely. We're raised on stories of perfect love, but the reality is so different. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice you make every day. And it's not always easy. Have you ever felt like you've experienced that kind of love?
I think I've come close, but I've always held back. Maybe it's fear, or maybe I just wasn't ready to open up completely. Vulnerability is terrifying, but I know it's necessary for love. What about you? Have you been in love?
I thought I was once, but looking back, I'm not so sure. I think I was more in love with the idea of love than the actual person, but now I realize that love goes beyond the initial spark.
Question. Emma, what do you think is the hardest part about love? A. Being vulnerable. B. Keeping the excitement alive. C. Trusting someone fully.
Answer A. Being vulnerable. I think the hardest part is being vulnerable. Option A. It's scary to let someone in completely, to show them all the messy parts of who you are. But without vulnerability, I don't think love can be genuine.
I completely agree. Vulnerability is scary, but it's also what makes love real. Without it, you're just going through the motions, not actually connecting.
The sun was now low in the sky, casting long shadows across the park as the air grew cooler. They found a bench and sat down, watching the world slowly transition into twilight.
I think that's what I've been missing in my relationships. Real vulnerability. I've always been scared of showing too much. Scared that the other person wouldn't stay if they saw all of me.
I think a lot of people feel that way, Emma. But the thing is, true love isn't about hiding. It's about showing your whole self and trusting that the other person will stay. That's what makes it so powerful.
You're right, but trust is hard, especially when you've been hurt before. Question: what do you think is the key to maintaining love over time? A. Trust. B. Communication. C. Patience.
Answer. A. Trust. I think trust is the key, option A. Without trust, love falls apart. You have to believe that the other person will be there for you, no matter what. And you have to trust yourself, too, that you're enough for them.
Yeah, trust is everything. Without it, you're constantly second-guessing. But it's fragile, isn't it? Once it's broken, it's so hard to rebuild.
It is. But if both people are willing to work at it, trust can be rebuilt. It just takes time and patience. Love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about growth, together.
As the day slowly faded into night, the park emptied out, leaving them alone under the dimming streetlights. There was a comfortable silence between them, filled with the weight of everything they had shared.
I'm glad we had this conversation, Jack. It's helped me realize that love isn't just about finding the perfect person. It's about finding someone who's willing to go through all the ups and downs with you.
I'm glad, too. Love isn't a fairy tale, but it's worth it. And I think we're both closer to understanding what we really want from it.
Who knows? Maybe we'll both find that kind of love one day.
Maybe. Or maybe we already have, and we just don't realize it yet.
They shared a quiet, knowing look before walking out of the park, side by side, their thoughts lingering on the meaning of true love. As they walked into the night, the conversation they had shared about love stayed with them, a quiet reminder that true love is a journey, not a destination. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of meaning of true love. Part 1. Walk in the park.
Vulnerability. The willingness to open up and show your true self despite the fear of rejection. Trust, the foundation of any lasting relationship, built on faith and reliability.
Commitment. The decision to stay together, even when things aren't perfect. Growth. Love should encourage both individuals to become better versions of themselves.
Acceptance. True love involves embracing both the good and flawed parts of another person.
Meaning of True Love, Part 2, Crossroads in the Rain. The following week, the skies over the city turned gray, and the gentle drizzle of rain seemed to cast a calm over the bustling streets. Emma walked down the familiar path that led to the park where she and Jack had their conversation just days ago. The rain tapped lightly against her umbrella as she approached the park's entrance, where she had agreed to meet him again. The last conversation had left her with much to think about, and she was eager to continue exploring the ideas they had shared. As she neared the park bench where they often sat, she spotted Jack, waiting under a large oak tree, his hands shoved into his coat pockets, his hair slightly damp from the rain.
You really don't mind the rain, do you?
No, I actually like it. It's peaceful. And besides, rain always makes for the best conversations, don't you think?
You've got a point. So, are we continuing our discussion on love today, or did you have something else in mind?
Actually, I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about, especially about trust. I wanted to dig deeper into that. How do you think trust is built in a relationship, and what do you think breaks it?
Trust is built over time. I think it comes from consistency, being there for someone, day in and day out. And it's not just about the big moments, but the little ones too. But trust is fragile. Once it's broken, it's hard to fix. What about you? What do you think shatters trust the most?
Lies, even small ones. I think when someone lies, it breaks the bond. It makes you question everything else they've ever said. Once that doubt creeps in, it's hard to shake it. Have you ever had your trust broken?
Yeah, I have. It wasn't about a big betrayal. It was more like a series of little things. Promises that weren't kept. Words that didn't mean anything. After a while, I couldn't trust anything they said. It's exhausting, trying to rebuild after that. Do you think trust can ever fully be restored once it's broken?
Question. Jack, when trust is broken, do you believe it can be rebuilt? A. Yes, with enough time and effort. B. No, once it's broken, it's gone forever. C. It depends on the situation.
Answer. C. It depends on the situation. I think it depends on the situation. Option C. If both people are committed to rebuilding and there's genuine remorse, it can be restored. But if the betrayal was too deep, sometimes it's impossible to go back to how things were.
I think you're right. Sometimes, no matter how much you try, the damage is just too much. It's hard to keep pretending everything's okay when the trust isn't there anymore.
They continued walking through the park, their steps slow and deliberate. The rain had lightened to a soft mist, giving the world around them a dreamlike quality. Jack paused for a moment, watching a few children splashing through puddles, their laughter echoing across the park.
I've been thinking about something else too. Vulnerability. We talked about it last time, but I didn't really get to say everything I wanted to. Do you think you've ever been truly vulnerable with someone?
I'm not sure. I've shared parts of myself, sure. But there's always this fear that if I show too much, they'll walk away. It's hard to be vulnerable when you've been hurt before. What about you? Do you think you've ever let your guard down completely?
I don't think so. I've always been good at keeping up walls, even in relationships. It's easier to be the one in control, to not let anyone see the parts of me that are messy or broken. But I think, if I ever want something real, I need to change that. What do you think makes it so hard to be vulnerable? Question. What's the biggest obstacle to being vulnerable in love? A. Fear of rejection. B. Fear of losing control. C. Fear of getting hurt.
Answer C. Fear of getting hurt. I think the biggest obstacle is the fear of getting hurt. Option C. When you open up to someone, you're giving them the power to hurt you. And when you've been hurt before, it's hard to believe that someone won't do it again.
Yeah, I get that. It's like you're putting your heart in someone else's hands and trusting them not to break it. But without that risk, there's no real love, is there?
No, there isn't. Love is always a risk. But I guess that's what makes it so worth it when it's real. It's scary, but it's also beautiful.
They continued walking in silence for a while, the sound of the rain softening around them. The park was almost empty now, with only a few people lingering, tucked under their umbrellas or huddled on benches. Jack and Emma found themselves at a crossroads in the path, where one way led back towards the city and the other deeper into the park.
Do you think love is like this? A series of choices, each one leading us down a different path? And once we make a choice, there's no going back.
I guess you could see it that way. Love is definitely about choices, but I don't think it's as final as you're making it sound. Sometimes we take a path and it doesn't work out, but we can always find our way back to something better. Do you believe love is something we find or something we choose? Question. Jack, do you think love is about finding the right person or choosing to love someone despite their flaws? A. It's about finding the right person. B. It's about choosing to love someone, flaws and all. C. It's a combination of both.
Answer. B. It's about choosing to love someone, flaws and all. I think it's about choosing to love someone, flaws and all, option B. No one's perfect, and if you're waiting to find someone who is, you'll be waiting forever. Real love is about seeing someone's imperfections and still choosing to be with them.
I think that's exactly right. Love isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about making the choice to be there, even when things aren't perfect.
They stood at the crossroads for a moment longer, the quiet between them filled with understanding. The rain had nearly stopped now, leaving the air fresh and cool.
You know, Emma, I think these conversations we've been having, they're changing the way I see things. About love, about relationships. It's like I've been waiting for something perfect, but now I realize it's about choosing to grow with someone, even when things are messy.
Yeah, I feel the same. These talks have made me realize that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, one you have to make every day.
So, which path do we take?
How about we take the longer one? I'm not quite ready to end this conversation yet.
Me neither.
They turned together and walked down the longer path, the world around them quiet and peaceful, yet full of the unspoken possibilities that lay ahead. As they continued down the winding path, Jack and Emma felt the weight of their shared thoughts, knowing that love, like life, was about the choices they made, and the people they chose to walk beside. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of meaning of true love. Part 2. Crossroads in the rain.
Vulnerability. The act of opening yourself up to someone, knowing they have the power to hurt you. Betrayal. The breaking of trust, often through lies or unkept promises.
Commitment. The decision to stay with someone even when things aren't perfect. Rebuilding. The process of restoring trust after it's been broken.
Choice. The conscious decision to love someone despite their flaws.
Meaning of True Love, Part 3. Weight of Choices. The days passed since their last walk in the park, but the conversations between Emma and Jack had continued, lingering in their minds like the soft rain that had accompanied them. Both had felt a shift in their dynamic, an unspoken understanding that something was changing between them. They met again, this time at the edge of a quiet lake outside the city. The sun was setting, casting an orange glow across the water, the reflection dancing like fire. As they sat on a wooden bench facing the lake, Jack broke the silence first, his tones softer than usual.
You know, Emma, all these conversations we've been having, they've made me think about how I approach love and relationships. I used to believe it was all about finding someone perfect, but now I realize I've been running from something much more important. Do you ever feel like you're scared of getting too close to someone?
All the time. I think I've spent a lot of my life keeping people at arm's length because it's easier than risking being hurt. It's like you said before, vulnerability is terrifying, but at the same time, I think it's what makes love real. I'm just not sure if I'm ready for that kind of closeness. What about you, Jack? Do you feel like you're ready for something deeper?
I want to be. I've always wanted to find someone I can truly be myself with, but when it comes down to it, I get scared that I'm not enough, or that they'll see all the flaws I try to hide. Do you think it's possible to love someone without fully accepting yourself?
I don't know. I think love requires self-acceptance, but it doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out. Maybe real love is about helping each other see the parts of ourselves we can't. Have you ever felt like someone made you better just by being in your life? Question. Jack, do you believe love is about finding someone who completes you or someone who helps you grow? A. Someone who completes you. B. Someone who helps you grow. C. A mix of both.
Answer. B. Someone who helps you grow. I think love is about finding someone who helps you grow. Option B. No one can complete you. You have to be complete on your own. But the right person challenges you, pushes you to be better, and helps you see the potential in yourself that you didn't know was there.
I think that's exactly right. I've always felt like I was waiting for someone to come along and fill the gaps in my life, but now I realize it's not about that. It's about growth, individually and together. That's what real love should be.
They both fell into a comfortable silence, watching the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the hills. The evening air was cool but not cold, and the sound of crickets began to fill the air, blending with the occasional splash of a fish jumping in the lake.
There's something I've been meaning to tell you, Emma. I've been thinking about us. About what we are and what we could be. I don't want to pretend that I haven't noticed how these conversations have changed things between us.
What do you mean?
I mean, I think I've always felt something for you, Emma. But I've kept it hidden because I wasn't sure if you felt the same, or if I was ready for it. But now, I don't want to hide anymore. I think I'm falling for you.
Jack, I felt it too, but I'm scared. Scared that if we cross this line, things will change forever. What if we try and it doesn't work out? I don't want to lose what we have.
I know. I'm scared too. But I also think we owe it to ourselves to try. What if it does work out? What if we're exactly what we've been looking for all along? Question. Emma, what's more important to you, preserving our friendship or taking the risk of finding something more? A. Preserving the friendship. B. Taking the risk of something more. C. Waiting until you're more certain.
Answer. B. Taking the risk of something more. I think taking the risk of something more is worth it. Option B. We can't live in fear of what might go wrong, or we'll miss out on what could go right. If there's a chance for something deeper between us, I don't want to let it pass by.
I'm glad you feel that way. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I didn't want to lose our friendship either. But I also believe that real love can grow out of friendship. And I think we have something worth exploring.
I think so too, Jack. But let's take it slow, okay? I don't want to rush into anything. If we're going to do this, I want to do it right.
Of course. We'll go at whatever pace feels right for you. I just want us to be honest with each other, like we have been in these conversations. No more hiding.
They both exhaled, a tension lifting between them that they hadn't even realized was there. It felt like a new beginning, but also like a natural continuation of everything that had come before. The lake was now dark, reflecting the stars that had started to appear in the sky, and the world around them felt quiet and intimate.
Do you think love always starts like this, slowly, like a friendship, and then it grows into something more?
I think it can. Not all love is fireworks and instant connections. Sometimes it's a slow burn, something that grows quietly until one day you realize it's there. That's the kind of love that lasts, I think.
Question: do you think the best relationships are built on friendship? A. Yes, friendship is the foundation of lasting love. B. No, love and friendship are separate. C. It depends on the relationship.
Answer: A. Yes, friendship is the foundation of lasting love. I think the best relationships are built on friendship, option A. When you're friends first, you already know and trust each other. You've built a foundation that can support a deeper, more meaningful love. It's not just about passion, it's about truly liking the person you're with.
I think you're right. Love built on friendship feels more stable, more real. It's not just about the highs and lows. It's about enjoying each other's company, no matter what.
They sat in silence for a while longer, the world around them quiet but their thoughts alive with possibilities. The path ahead was uncertain, but they both felt a sense of calm, knowing that whatever happened, they were in it together.
So, where do we go from here?
We take it one step at a time. We keep talking, keep being honest with each other, and we see where this takes us.
Sounds like a plan. I'm ready if you are.
They stood up from the bench, their hands brushing lightly before they began walking back along the path. The night air was cool, and the stars overhead seemed to twinkle brighter as they made their way back to the car, side by side, their hearts a little lighter and their connection a little deeper. As they walked back towards the car, Emma and Jack both felt the weight of their decision, knowing that they were stepping into something new, something filled with both uncertainty and hope, but a journey they were ready to take together. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of Meaning of True Love, Part 3, Weight of Choices.
Vulnerability. The willingness to take emotional risks, even when it means you might get hurt. Friendship. The foundation of a deeper connection that can evolve into love.
Trust. The key element that allows love to grow and flourish. Commitment. The decision to take risks for the sake of deeper emotional connections.
Growth. The way love encourages both individuals to evolve and become better together.
Meaning of True Love, Part 4, First Steps of Us.
A few weeks later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, they decided to meet at Emma's apartment for dinner. The city was quiet as evening descended, the leaves crunching underfoot as Jack made his way up the stairs to Emma's door, carrying a bottle of wine. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, both of them wondering what it meant to navigate this new territory of theirs.
Right on time. You know, I'm still not used to seeing you at my door like this. It's different.
Different good, I hope. Hands her the bottle of wine. I brought this. I figured it'd go well with whatever you're cooking.
Perfect choice. Dinner's almost ready. Come on in. And yes, it's a good different. But it still feels a little strange, doesn't it? This thing between us. We've spent so long as friends, and now everything feels new, even though it's familiar.
I get it. It's like we're trying to figure out how to take something that was already great and make it more. It's not always easy, but I think that's part of the journey, right?
Exactly. There's a lot to figure out, but I think we're doing okay. At least we're talking about it. I've seen so many relationships fall apart because people don't communicate. Jack, I've been thinking, you know how we've talked about trust and vulnerability. I feel like we're at this point where we need to address something. Where do we see this going? I don't want to put pressure on us, but I also don't want to pretend we're still just friends.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. I don't want to rush anything, but I also don't want to avoid the conversation. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm serious about us, but I don't know what the future holds. I just know I want to figure it out with you.
Question. Jack, what do you think is the most important thing to establish in a new relationship? A. Defining clear expectations. B. Giving each other space to grow. C. Making sure the foundation of friendship is still there.
Answer. B. Giving each other space to grow. I think the most important thing is giving each other space to grow. Option B. Relationships can feel overwhelming if we rush into them. I want us to keep growing as individuals, while figuring out how we can grow together.
I'm so glad you said that. I feel the same way. I don't want to lose ourselves just because we're exploring this new side of our relationship. It's important that we stay true to who we are while we're figuring out how to be together.
They sat in silence for a moment, both reflecting on how easy it was to talk about these things. That's what made their connection special. It was built on honesty and openness, something neither of them had experienced before.
I think we're going to be okay, Emma. As long as we keep talking like this, we'll figure out the rest as we go.
I think so too. But I do wonder, what do you think will be our biggest challenge moving forward?
Question, Emma. What do you think will be the hardest part about transitioning from friends to something more? A. Balancing friendship and romance. B. Managing expectations. C. Facing potential conflicts and disagreements.
Answer A. Balancing friendship and romance. I think the hardest part will be balancing friendship and romance. Option A. We've been friends for so long, and now we're trying to figure out how to add romance into the mix without losing that friendship. It's tricky, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, it is tricky. But I'm glad we're taking it one step at a time. We've always been good at finding balance, and I don't think that'll change.
True. It's one of the things I've always appreciated about you. We've always been able to talk about the hard stuff without making it awkward. I hope we never lose that.
The night grew later, but neither of them felt in any hurry to end their time together. They moved back to the couch after cleaning up, sitting closer now, their hands occasionally brushing against each other, as if testing the waters of this new closeness. The conversation became lighter as they shifted back into more familiar territory, talking about work, family, and their favorite books. But as the evening drew to a close, Emma found herself thinking about the future again. She didn't want to rush things, but she also knew they couldn't avoid talking about where they were headed forever.
Do you ever wonder what our relationship will look like a year from now? Will we still be figuring it out, or do you think we'll have settled into something more defined?
I hope we'll have found our rhythm. I think there's always going to be some uncertainty, but that's part of the adventure, right? The important thing is that we're in this together, whatever it looks like.
Question: Jack, in your opinion, what's the most important thing to keep a relationship healthy as it grows? A. Constant communication. B. Flexibility and patience. C. Shared goals and vision.
Answer: B. Flexibility and patience. I think the most important thing is flexibility and patience. Option B. No relationship is perfect, and we're going to have to adjust to each other as we grow. Being patient with each other's differences and willing to adapt is what keeps things strong.
I think that's a great answer. We've both been through enough to know that relationships aren't easy, but if we can be patient with each other and stay flexible, we can handle whatever comes our way.
The conversation slowly wound down as the night grew quieter. Emma and Jack sat in a comfortable silence, feeling a sense of peace settle between them. They both knew there were challenges ahead, but they also knew they had something worth holding on to.
I should probably get going, but I'm really glad we had this talk. It feels good to know we're on the same page.
Me too. I feel like we're figuring this out step by step. It's scary, but it's also exciting.
Good night, Emma. I'll see you soon.
Good night, Jack.
As the door closed, Emma stood there for a moment, feeling the warmth of the evening settle over her. She knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. This new chapter in her life, in their relationship, was just beginning. As Emma turned off the lights and headed to bed, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she and Jack were ready to face them together, with honesty, patience, and the bond of friendship that had always been their foundation. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of Meaning of True Love, Part 4. First steps of us.
Communication. The key to resolving conflicts and understanding each other's needs in a relationship. Patience. The ability to give the relationship time to grow and adjust to new dynamics.
Friendship. The foundation that supports the transition from friends to partners in love. flexibility, the willingness to adapt and evolve as individuals and as a couple.
Expectations. Understanding and managing what each person wants from the relationship to avoid misunderstandings. Meaning of True Love, Part 5, Turning Points.
A few weeks had passed since their quiet dinner at Emma's apartment, and things between them had continued to evolve in a way that was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Their routines had shifted, more late-night phone calls, impromptu meetups for lunch or coffee, and touches that lingered longer than before. But there was a shared understanding between them. They were taking things slow, allowing the relationship to grow naturally. One Saturday afternoon, Jack invited Emma to his apartment for the first time since they began navigating this new phase of their connection. The weather was brisk, with the threat of rain hanging in the air, but Emma was unfazed. She arrived with a small smile and a sense of anticipation, unsure of what the day might hold.
"Hey, you made it. I was worried the weather might change your mind."
I'm not that easily scared off. Besides, I've been curious to see your place. It's cozy. I like it.
"Glad to hear it. I ordered some takeout, so we can just relax and enjoy the day without worrying about cooking."
You know, Jack, I've been thinking about us. I know we said we were going to take things slow, but it feels like we're at a point where we need to talk about what's next. I don't want to rush, but don't you feel it too?
Yeah, I feel it. It's weird, though. On one hand, everything feels like it's moving fast, and on the other, it feels like we're still just figuring things out. But I do think we're at a turning point. I just don't know what it looks like yet.
What do you think will be our biggest challenge as we get more serious? What's something that worries you about us? Question: Jack, what do you think will be the greatest challenge as we take this next step? A. Losing the friendship we've always had. B. Struggling to meet each other's expectations. C. Growing apart over time.
Answer A. Losing the friendship we've always had. Honestly, my biggest fear is losing the friendship we've built over the years. Option A. It's been our foundation, and I don't ever want to lose that. Sometimes, when people become more than friends, things change in ways you don't expect. I don't want us to lose what made us special in the first place.
I get that. I've been thinking the same thing. It's a delicate balance, isn't it? We want to grow as partners, but we also want to hold on to the part of us that's always been safe and steady.
Yeah, but I think the fact that we're even having this conversation means we're on the right track. We're aware of what's at stake, and that's going to help us navigate it.
The conversation flowed easily between them as the afternoon slipped into early evening. As Jack refilled their glasses, Emma felt the tension that had been sitting on her chest begin to lift. They were figuring it out, slowly, cautiously, but with the same openness that had always defined their friendship.
Okay, your turn. What do you think excites you most about us moving forward? I mean, we've known each other for years, but now that we're exploring this new side of our relationship, what do you think will be the best part?
Question. Emma, what's the thing you're most looking forward to as we move forward in this relationship? A. Discovering new aspects of our connection. B. Building a life together. C. Strengthening the foundation we already have.
Answer A. Discovering new aspects of our connection. What excites me the most is discovering new aspects of our connection. Option A. We've known each other so long, but there's still so much we haven't explored yet. Things we haven't shared, experiences we haven't had together. I love the idea that we're at the start of something new, that there's more to discover about you and about us.
I like that answer. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? We've been friends for so long, but there's still this whole other side of you I'm getting to know.
Exactly. And that's exciting to me. There's no rush to figure it all out, but I'm excited to see what we find along the way.
As the rain began to softly tap against the windows, they sat closer now, their hands brushing occasionally, not by accident but by choice. The room was filled with a quiet intimacy that neither of them was in a hurry to break.
You know, Jack, I've been thinking, what do you think will be the key to keeping this strong as we grow? Relationships change, people change. What do you think will help us keep it together? Question, Jack, what do you think will be the most important factor in keeping our relationship strong? A. Constant communication. B. Flexibility and patience. C. Shared goals and vision.
Answer B. Flexibility and patience. I think the most important thing will be flexibility and patience. Option B. Relationships aren't static. They change as people grow. We're both going to evolve over time, and I think the key will be giving each other the space to grow individually while learning to adapt to those changes as a couple. If we can be patient with each other's growth, we'll be able to handle whatever comes our way.
I agree. No relationship is perfect, but if we're willing to adjust and be patient with each other, we can make it work. I think that's what will help us stay strong no matter what.
The conversation slowly wound down as the evening deepened. The rain outside became a comforting backdrop to their quiet thoughts, and the warmth of their connection filled the room. Neither of them was in a hurry to end the night, but the comfortable silence between them spoke volumes about where they stood.
I should probably get you home before the rain gets worse, but I'm really glad we talked today. It feels good to know we're on the same page.
Me too. Every time we talk about this, I feel more certain that we're figuring it out the right way, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time.
As the door closed behind Emma and the rain fell steadily against the city streets, both of them felt a quiet sense of peace settle over them. The journey was far from over, and the road ahead was still unknown. But whatever came next, they knew they would face it together, with trust, patience, and the unshakable bond of a friendship that had always been their foundation. As Emma walked away from Jack's apartment, the rain falling softly around her, she couldn't help but smile, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, one careful, deliberate step at a time. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of meaning of true love. Part 5. Turning Points.
Vulnerability. Opening up emotionally to allow deeper connection and understanding. Commitment. The evolving dedication to each other as their relationship solidifies.
Exploration. Discovering new dimensions of their relationship as it transitions from friendship to romance. Harmony. Finding a shared rhythm in their relationship, balancing individual needs with the partnership.
Resilience. The strength to navigate challenges and uncertainties, staying united through growth.
Meaning of True Love, Part 6. Unspoken Truths. Weeks had passed since their last heartfelt conversation at Jack's apartment, and their relationship continued to shift, subtly yet unmistakably. They spent more time together now, weekend breakfasts, late-night drives, and spontaneous calls just to hear each other's voice. There was something magnetic in their bond, a pull neither of them wanted to resist. But with this deepening connection came a quiet tension, an unspoken weight they both felt but hadn't yet addressed. One chilly Friday evening, Emma invited Jack to join her for a small gathering at her friend Sophie's place. It wasn't anything formal, just a few close friends and some wine. The kind of gathering that should have been easy. But as the night went on, the unspoken tension between Emma and Jack simmered under the surface, lurking behind every glance, every shared laugh.
We're just, taking things slow.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
So, Sophie's question back there, it kinda caught me off guard. How are you feeling about it?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting it either. I mean, we've been good, haven't we? I didn't think we needed to define things right now.
Yeah, we've been good. But maybe we do need to talk about it. About us. What are we, Emma? Where are we going with this? Question. Emma, what do you think we need to address first as we figure out where we're going? A. Defining the relationship and setting expectations. B. Understanding what we both want long-term. C. Making sure we're both on the same page emotionally.
Answer C. Making sure we're both on the same page emotionally. I think what's most important right now is making sure we're on the same page emotionally. Option C. We've been building this connection for a while, but I don't want to rush into defining it without knowing how we both feel. It's one thing to say we're moving forward, but it's another to make sure we're both in the same place with our feelings.
I agree. We've always been good at talking things through, but this is different. It's new. I want to make sure we're doing this right, for both of us.
Exactly. I don't want to push us into something we're not ready for, but I also don't want to avoid it forever. We need to figure out what we're feeling before we start labeling things.
They continued their walk, the tension between them easing slightly now that the conversation had been opened. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that there was more beneath the surface, something neither of them was saying. When they finally reached Emma's apartment, she paused before unlocking the door, turning to face Jack again.
Jack, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. Do you ever think about what happens if this doesn't work out? I know we're trying to take things slow, but does that ever cross your mind? Question: Jack, do you ever worry about what happens if things don't work out between us? A. Yes, I think about it sometimes. B. No, I try to stay focused on the present. C. I think it's natural to have some doubts, but I'm not afraid of them.
Answer: C. I think it's natural to have some doubts, but I'm not afraid of them. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it, but I don't let those doubts control me. Option C. It's natural to have some fear when you're putting yourself out there, but that's part of what makes it worth it. I'm not afraid of us failing, because I believe we can handle whatever comes our way.
I'm glad you said that. I've had doubts too, but I don't want them to define what we're building here. I'm scared, but I'm also excited, and I think we can handle it, whatever it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Together.
They stepped into the warmth of Emma's apartment, leaving the cold night behind. The tension that had clouded their evenings seemed to dissipate as they sat down on the couch, a sense of calm settling between them. But as they sat there in the quiet, Emma felt another question burning at the back of her mind, one she hadn't dared ask before.
Jack, what do you see for us? Not just now, but in the future. Do you see this going somewhere serious? Question: Jack, what do you think is the key to making sure we can build something lasting together? A. Establishing a clear vision for our future. B. Staying adaptable as we grow. C. Continuing to nurture our emotional connection.
Answer: B. Staying adaptable as we grow. I think the key to building something lasting is staying adaptable as we grow. Option B. People change, and relationships change with them. If we can stay open to those changes and keep evolving together, then I think we'll be able to build something strong. It's not about having everything figured out from the start. It's about being willing to change with each other over time.
I like that. We don't need to have all the answers right now, but we do need to be open to where this takes us. I think we can do that.
They sat in a comfortable silence for a while, each of them processing what had just been said. It felt like a weight had been lifted, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt certain that they were heading in the right direction.
You know, I'm glad Sophie asked that question tonight. It forced us to talk about some things we've been avoiding.
Yeah, leave it to Sophie to push the boundaries, but I guess it worked out, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
As the night deepened, so did their connection. The questions had been hard but necessary, and as they sat there, their fingers intertwining, They both knew that whatever came next, they were in it together. As Jack leaned in to kiss her, the unspoken truths between them dissolved, leaving only the warmth of their newfound understanding. Two people ready to face the unknown, one step at a time, without fear. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of the meaning of true love, Part 6. Unspoken truths.
Reassurance. Finding comfort in their mutual commitment to face challenges as a team. Courage. The bravery to face the unknown and take the next step in their relationship.
Uncertainty. Acknowledging the unpredictability of their future while embracing it together. Clarity. The growing understanding of their needs and desires as they define their relationship.
Openness. Willingness to be honest and transparent about their feelings and intentions.
Meaning of True Love, Part 7. Beneath the Surface. The conversation that night at Emma's apartment had brought them closer, peeling back layers of uncertainty and fear. But even with their newfound clarity, life continued to unfold, bringing new challenges neither of them had anticipated. The intimacy of their bond was deepening, but the unspoken realities of life outside their connection were beginning to surface. It was late November, and Jack was working longer hours than usual. The projects at his firm were piling up, and he found himself increasingly distracted. Their usual nights together had become fewer, their calls shorter, and the easy flow of conversation that once felt effortless now carried an undercurrent of tension. Emma could sense it, but for weeks, she'd chosen not to bring it up. She told herself he was just busy, that things would calm down soon enough. But deep down, she knew there was more to it. One evening, after yet another night where Jack texted to say he couldn't make it, Emma sat in her apartment, staring at the message. Her fingers hovered over her phone, debating whether to ask the question she had been avoiding.
Hey, can we talk soon? I feel like we've been a little off lately.
Yeah, of course. I've been meaning to talk too. Can I come by tonight?
Yeah, come over. I'll be here. Jack, I've been worried. I know things have been stressful with work, but we haven't been the same. It feels like something's changed, and I don't know if it's just me or if you're feeling it too.
You're not wrong. I've been feeling it too. It's not just work, Emma. There's more going on, and I've been avoiding it.
What do you mean, what's going on?
I've been struggling to balance everything. Work, life in general. And I know I've been distant, but it's not because I want to be. I guess I'm scared of screwing this up. I'm scared that with everything happening, I'll somehow push you away without meaning to.
Jack, you don't have to do this alone. We're supposed to figure things out together. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be honest with me. Question: Jack, what do you think is the hardest part about balancing a relationship with everything else in life? A. Not having enough time for each other. B. Managing expectations and responsibilities. C. Keeping the emotional connection strong through it all.
Answer. B. Managing expectations and responsibilities. I think the hardest part is managing expectations and responsibilities, option B. There's always this pressure to meet everyone's expectations, yours, mine, works, and it feels overwhelming sometimes. It's hard to juggle everything and still make sure we're okay. I've been worried that I'm not living up to what you need, and that scares me.
I get that, but Jack, I don't expect you to carry all the weight. I need you to know that it's okay if things aren't perfect. We can't let the pressure from outside pull us apart. We have to find a way to make this work without losing ourselves in everything else.
You're right. I've been so focused on not messing things up that I've been messing them up by not talking to you. I don't want that. I don't want us to drift apart just because life gets hard.
They sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the conversation settling between them. The distance they had both felt was real, but now that it was out in the open, it felt more manageable, something they could face together, rather than alone.
What do you think we need to do, Jack, to get back to where we were? Question: Jack, how do you think we can get back to feeling more connected again? A. Spending more intentional time together. B. Reassessing our priorities and what's important to us. C. Communicating more openly and frequently about how we're feeling.
Answer. C. Communicating more openly and frequently about how we're feeling. I think we need to communicate more openly and frequently, option C. We've always been good at talking, but lately, I've been holding things in, and it's been making everything worse. If we can be more honest about how we're feeling, whether it's about work, life, or us, I think we'll feel closer again.
I agree. We've always had this connection because we've been able to talk about anything. I don't want to lose that. I don't care if life gets hard as long as we're in it together.
I'm sorry I've been distant. I've been so wrapped up in everything else that I forgot the most important part, you. Us.
We'll figure it out, Jack. We just have to keep talking, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
The evening stretched on, the tension between them easing as they talked late into the night. They shared their fears, their frustrations, and their hopes for the future. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was a necessary one. By the time Jack left, they both felt lighter, like they had finally let go of the weight they had been carrying alone. One evening, as they sat together on Emma's couch after a quiet dinner, Jack looked at her with a thoughtful expression.
Emma, do you ever think about the future? I mean, not just next week or next month, but further down the road. Where do you see us in a year? Or 2? Or 5? Question. Emma, where do you see us in the future? A. Growing together, even if it's not always easy. B. Building something long-term and serious. C. taking it day by day and seeing where life takes us.
Answer B. Building something long-term and serious. I see us building something long-term and serious. Option B. We've been through a lot already, and it hasn't always been easy, but I think we're strong enough to build a future together. I don't need to have everything planned out, but I want to know that we're both in this for the long haul.
That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. I don't know what the future looks like, but I know I wanted to include you.
As they sat together, the quiet certainty between them felt stronger than ever. The path ahead wasn't clear, but they were facing it side by side, ready for whatever came next. As the night wrapped around them, Jack and Emma held each other close, knowing that while life would never be without challenges, they had something worth fighting for, a future built on trust, communication, and the unbreakable bond they had always shared. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of the meaning of true love. Part 7. Beneath the surface.
Balance. Finding harmony between the relationship and life's demands. Communication. The key to maintaining connection and resolving tension.
Pressure. The external and internal forces that can strain a relationship. Reconnection. The process of rebuilding intimacy after a period of distance.
Future. The shared vision of building something lasting and meaningful.
Meaning of True Love, Part 8, Crossroads. The winter chill had settled into the city, bringing with it a sense of quiet reflection. Jack and Emma had been steadily rebuilding the closeness they had almost lost, and things between them seemed stronger. The tension that once lingered in their conversations was gone, replaced by a deeper understanding of each other's needs. But even with this newfound harmony, life had a way of presenting challenges just when things seemed to be falling into place. One cold December afternoon, Jack invited Emma to join him for a weekend trip to his family's cabin. It was a place he hadn't taken anyone before, and for him, it symbolized a deeper step in their relationship, a way to show Emma the parts of his life he didn't often share. Emma agreed eagerly, excited for the time away, hoping the trip would solidify the progress they'd made. They drove up on a Friday evening, the car filled with easy conversation and laughter. But as the miles passed and the city faded into the distance, Emma couldn't shake a subtle feeling of unease. Jack seemed quieter than usual, his eyes fixed on the road with an intensity she wasn't used to seeing.
Hey, you okay? You've been quiet for a while.
Yeah, just thinking. There's a lot on my mind.
Like what?
I've been meaning to talk to you about something, but I didn't want to bring it up until we had some time away from everything. I don't want it to ruin our trip, but it's been weighing on me.
Jack, you know you can talk to me about anything. What's going on?
I got an offer for a job. It's a big opportunity, something I've been working toward for a long time. But it's not here, it's in Seattle. They want me to move out there at the beginning of the year.
Seattle. When were you going to tell me?
I wanted to tell you sooner, but I wasn't sure how. I didn't want to spring it on you without knowing what it meant for us. I've been going back and forth in my head, trying to figure out if this is what I want, and if it is, what it means for us.
So, you've known for how long, and you've just been sitting on it?
About a month. I didn't want to stress you out, especially with everything we've been working through. I wanted to wait until I knew what I wanted to do, but now, I'm not so sure anymore.
Not sure about what, the job or us?
Emma, I don't know if I can take this job if it means losing you. But at the same time, it's everything I've been working for. I've been torn because I don't want to choose between my career and the life we've started building. I need to know what you're thinking, because I don't want to do this without you. Question: Emma, what do you think would be the hardest part about me taking this job in Seattle? A. The distance and trying to maintain a long-distance relationship. B. The uncertainty of when or if we'd be in the same place again. C. Feeling like we're growing apart because we're living separate lives.
Answer: C. Feeling like we're growing apart because we're living separate lives. Honestly, I think the hardest part would be feeling like we're growing apart because we're living separate lives. Option C. It's not just the distance that worries me, it's how things might change if we're not together every day, sharing the little moments. I'm afraid that we'd start to drift without realizing it, and that scares me.
That's what I've been afraid of too. I don't want us to drift apart just because we're in different cities, but I also don't know what the right answer is. I don't want to hold you back, and I don't want to make a decision that'll hurt us in the long run.
They sat in silence, both staring out at the darkened horizon as the weight of the decision pressed down on them. The future, once something they had been excited about, now felt like a crossroads, one that could either bring them closer together or pull them apart.
What do you want, Jack? Do you want to take this job? Question: Jack, if you weren't thinking about me, what would you do? A. I'd take the job and move to Seattle. B. I'd stay here and look for opportunities closer to home. C. I honestly don't know. I'm torn.
Answer: A. I'd take the job and move to Seattle. If I wasn't thinking about us, I'd take the job and move to Seattle. Option A. It's everything I've worked for, and it's an incredible opportunity. But the problem is, I am thinking about you, about us, and that's why this is so hard. I don't want to take a step forward in my career if it means losing what we have.
I get it. It's your dream, and I'd never want to stand in the way of that. But where does that leave us, Jack? Can we make this work with you in Seattle and me here?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it for weeks, and I can't come up with an answer. Part of me believes we could make it work if we tried hard enough. But the other part of me is scared it'll put too much strain on us.
They sat there in the car, the cold outside creeping in as the warmth of their connection seemed to waver. Emma's mind raced, but no matter how much she wanted to believe they could handle the distance, doubts began to surface.
I want to believe we could make it work too, but I don't know. This feels like a huge shift, and we've just gotten back to a good place. What if we're not ready for this?
I don't know, Emma. I just don't know. But what I do know is that I love you, and I don't want to lose you over this.
I love you too, Jack, but this is a big decision, one that could change everything.
What do you think we should do, Emma? Do we try to make this work with the distance, or do we make a different choice? Question, Emma. How do you think we should move forward? A. We try long distance and see where it takes us. B. We take some time apart to figure out what we really want. C. We focus on what's best for each of us and accept that this might mean going separate ways.
Answer A. We try long distance and see where it takes us. I think we should try long distance and see where it takes us. Option A. I don't want to make a decision out of fear, and I don't want to give up on us without at least trying. It's going to be hard, but I believe we owe it to ourselves to see if we can make it work.
You really think we can do it, even with the distance?
I think we've faced bigger challenges, and we've come out stronger. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I'm not ready to give up on us just because things might be hard.
Jack reached for her hand, his grip warm and steady. The uncertainty still lingered, but for the first time that night, they both felt a sense of hope. Hope that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. As they sat hand in hand, the cold night surrounding them, Emma and Jack made a silent promise to each other. To face the unknown with courage, no matter how difficult the road ahead might be. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of meaning of true love, Part 8, Crossroads.
Opportunity. The difficult choices that come with pursuing one's dreams. Distance. The physical and emotional separation that can challenge a relationship.
Commitment. The decision to stay together despite obstacles. Uncertainty. The unknown future that can either bring hope or fear.
Trust. Believing in each other and in the strength of the relationship, even when the path ahead is unclear.
Meaning of True Love, Part 9, The Distance Between Us. The decision to try a long distance had brought them a sense of temporary relief, but as the reality of Jack's move to Seattle crept closer, the challenges of their new situation became all too real. Jack had left for Seattle a week ago, and the physical distance between them felt more significant than either had expected. Phone calls and texts became their lifeline, but something was different, strained, despite their best efforts to keep things the same. It was a late January evening, and Emma sat in her apartment, scrolling through photos on her phone. Every picture of her and Jack felt like a distant memory now, Weekend trips, lazy mornings, late-night talks that seemed so effortless. Now, everything felt harder. The time difference made it tricky to catch each other at the right moment, and even when they did talk, the conversations felt more like updates than the deep, meaningful exchanges they once had. Her phone buzzed, and she saw Jack's name flash on the screen. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She answered, putting on her best cheerful voice.
Hey, you. How's Seattle treating you?
Hey, it's been good, busy though. The job's demanding, but I guess I expected that. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Work's been hectic and I miss you, but I'm hanging in there.
Emma, I've been thinking. This whole long-distance thing, I know we said we'd try it, but it feels like we're just holding on. It doesn't feel like it used to. Do you feel that too?
Yeah, I've felt it too. It's not that I don't want to make this work, but I feel like we're just drifting. I don't know how to fix it when we're so far apart.
That's exactly it. It feels like everything's harder now, and I don't know if we're just making this harder on ourselves by trying to force something that isn't working.
Jack, do you think we're just forcing it? Are you saying we should stop trying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to figure out if this is what's best for us. I don't want us to keep hurting each other if it's not working.
Question. Jack, what do you think is the hardest part about long distance right now? A. Not being able to share the day-to-day moments together. B. The uncertainty of how long this will last. C. The feeling that we're growing apart.
Answer. A. Not being able to share the day-to-day moments together. I think the hardest part is not being able to share the day-to-day moments together, option A. It's like we're living separate lives, and all the little things that used to make us feel connected are gone. I miss the simple stuff. Coming home to you, grabbing coffee, even just sitting in silence together. It's those things that made us feel close, and now they're missing.
I know. I miss those moments too. It feels like we're living two separate lives, and the only thing connecting us is our phones. I hate it.
I hate it too, but I don't want to lose you over this. I don't want us to just give up because things are hard.
Emma leaned back on her couch, staring at the ceiling as the weight of their situation pressed down on her. She didn't want to lose Jack, but she also didn't want to keep dragging out something that was causing them both so much pain. It felt like they were stuck, unsure of how to move forward or what moving forward even looked like.
Jack, do you ever wonder if we're doing more harm than good by trying to hold on to this? I don't mean that I want to give up, but maybe we need to rethink what's best for both of us. Question. Jack, do you think we need to take a step back and reevaluate where we're headed? A. Yes, maybe taking a step back could help us figure things out. B. No, I think we should keep pushing forward. C. I don't know. I'm scared of what taking a step back would mean.
Answer. C. I don't know. I'm scared of what taking a step back would mean. Honestly, I don't know. I'm scared of what taking a step back would mean for us, option C. What if we step back and never find our way back to each other? What if this distance becomes permanent? I don't want that, Emma. I don't want to lose you, but I'm also scared that what we're doing now isn't working.
I'm scared too, Jack. I don't want to lose you either, but maybe we need to stop pretending that everything's okay and really talk about what this means for us.
They both sat in silence for a long time, the weight of the conversation sinking in. It felt like they were on the edge of something, either a decision that would bring them closer together or one that would push them apart for good.
Emma, what do you think we should do? Do we try to keep pushing through this, or do we need to step back and figure out what's best for us?
I think we need to take a step back and really think about what's best for us. I'm not saying we should break up, but maybe we need to give each other some space to figure things out without the pressure of making long-distance work. I don't want us to resent each other for something we can't control.
Question. Emma, what do you think will happen if we take a step back? A. We'll find clarity and decide if we can make this work long-term. B. We might drift apart, but it's a risk we have to take. C. I don't know, but we can't keep going the way we are now.
Answer A. We'll find clarity and decide if we can make this work long-term. I think if we take a step back, we'll find clarity and decide if we can make this work long-term. Option A. I don't want us to rush into any decisions, but I also don't want us to keep hurting each other by forcing something that isn't working. Maybe a little space will help us see what we really want.
You're right. Maybe we both need some time to think about what's best for us, without the pressure of making long-distance work right now. It doesn't mean we're giving up, it just means we're trying to be honest with ourselves.
Emma felt a mixture of relief and sadness wash over her. She didn't want to lose Jack, but she also knew that continuing the way they were wasn't fair to either of them. This step back didn't have to be the end. It could be a chance for them to figure out what they truly wanted.
I still love you, Jack. No matter what happens, I want you to know that.
I love you too, Emma. That's never going to change.
As they ended the call, Emma sat in the quiet of her apartment, her mind swirling with thoughts of what the future might hold. She didn't know where this step back would lead them, but she hoped that, in the end, it would bring them closer to the truth, whatever that might be. As the silence filled the space where Jack's voice had been, Emma realized that sometimes love meant stepping back, giving space for clarity, and trusting that if they were meant to be, they would find their way back to each other. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of meaning of true love, Part 9. The distance between us.
Separation. The physical and emotional distance that tests a relationship's strength. Uncertainty. The fear of what happens next and where the relationship is headed.
Space. The need for time apart to figure out what is best for both individuals. Clarity. The hope that taking a step back will provide a clearer vision of the future.
Love. The underlying emotion that remains, even in moments of doubt and difficulty.
Meaning of true love. Last part. Coming home. The decision to take a step back had been painful but necessary. For the first time in months, Emma and Jack had space, real space, to think about what they wanted, both for themselves and for their relationship. The silence between them had grown longer, their calls less frequent, as they each tried to navigate life without the constant presence of the other. Weeks turned into months, and the weight of that space felt heavier with each passing day. For Emma, the time apart had been filled with reflection. She spent her evenings alone, working late, meeting friends, and trying to piece together what her life looked like without Jack in it. She missed him terribly. The way his smile could light up a room, the way they used to talk for hours about everything and nothing, the way he made her feel safe. But as much as she missed him, she knew this was a time for clarity. For Jack, life in Seattle had been overwhelming, the demands of his new job pulling him in every direction. But no matter how busy he was, he couldn't escape the empty feeling that lingered in his chest. The city, once full of promise and opportunity, now felt cold and distant. His success felt hollow without Emma to share it with. He missed her more than he had words for, and he began to wonder if maybe he had made the wrong choice. One evening, 3 months after their last conversation, Jack found himself staring at his phone, Emma's number highlighted on the screen. He had been carrying around this feeling for too long, and he couldn't ignore it anymore. Without thinking, he pressed call.
Jack?
Hey, Emma, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
I've been thinking about you. A lot. About us. And I realize now, I don't want this distance anymore, Emma. I don't want to live without you in my life.
Jack, I've missed you too. But I'm not sure where we go from here. We took this time apart to figure things out, and I thought maybe it was leading us in different directions. Are you saying you want to come back?
I'm saying I made a mistake. The job, the move, none of it means anything without you. Seattle isn't home, Emma. You are.
Jack, I've been waiting to hear you say that, but what does that mean for us? What are you asking for? Question. Jack, what are you asking for? Are you saying you want to come back? A. Yes, I want to come back, to be with you again. B. I want us to try again, but I'm not sure how we make it work yet. C. I don't know, I just know I don't want to lose you.
Answer. A. Yes, I want to come back, to be with you again. Yes, I want to come back, to be with you again, option A. I've been thinking about this for months, and I know now that my life isn't complete without you in it. I don't have all the answers yet, but I know I want to come home, to you.
Jack, are you sure? I mean, this is a big decision. You've built a life out there.
Emma, my life isn't in Seattle. My life is with you. I don't want to spend another day pretending that this distance can work. I want us to be together, in the same place, building a future. I'm ready to come home.
I want that too. I want us to try again. I've never stopped wanting that.
So, when can I see you?
How about tomorrow?
The next day, Jack arrived back in the city. The moment he saw Emma waiting for him at the airport, everything else fell away. She was smiling, her eyes bright with unshed tears, and Jack felt like he was finally where he was meant to be. They embraced, the months of distance and uncertainty melting away as they held each other close. Neither of them spoke for a long time, the comfort of being together again enough to fill the space between them. Finally, Jack pulled back, looking into her eyes with a soft smile.
I missed you so much.
I missed you too.
Emma, do you ever think about the future? About what we could build together now? Question. Emma, where do you see us going from here? A. Taking it step by step, but moving toward building a life together. B. Not rushing anything, but seeing how we grow back together. C. I want to build something permanent, but we'll figure out the details along the way.
Answer A. Taking it step by step, but moving toward building a life together. I see us taking it step by step, but moving toward building a life together. Option A. We've been through so much already, and I don't want to rush anything, but I do want us to work toward a future where we're really building something together.
That sounds perfect.
The next few weeks felt like a dream. Jack settled back into the city, and they slowly began rebuilding their relationship, stronger this time, with the lessons they had learned through their time apart. They spent more time together, but they also gave each other the space to grow, understanding that their love was something they would continue to nurture, step by step. One evening, as they sat together on Emma's couch, wrapped up in a blanket, Jack looked over at her with a thoughtful expression.
You know, I'm glad we went through everything we did. It wasn't easy, but I think it made us stronger. It made me realize what really matters.
Me too. Sometimes you need the distance to see things clearly.
I don't ever want to lose you again, Emma.
You won't. We're in this together.
Question. Emma, how do you feel about us now that we're back together? A. Grateful. We've been through so much, and we're stronger for it. B. Hopeful. We've faced challenges, but we're more committed now. C. Relieved. We took the time we needed and came out better on the other side.
Answer B. Hopeful. We've faced challenges, but we're more committed now. I feel hopeful, Jack. Option B. We've faced so many challenges, but I feel like we've come through it with a deeper commitment to each other. I know things won't always be easy, but I'm hopeful because we've shown that we can handle it, and that makes me believe we're stronger now.
Me too. We've got this.
As they sat there, wrapped in each other's warmth, Emma realized that true love wasn't just about the easy moments. It was about the hard ones, the ones that tested them, the ones that made them question everything, because it was in those moments that they found the depth of their connection, the strength of their love. As the night deepened, Jack and Emma held each other close, knowing that no matter what the future held, They had found their way back to each other, stronger and more certain than ever that true love was worth every step of the journey. 5 words and phrases related to the theme of the meaning of true love. Part 10. Coming home.
Reconnection, the emotional and physical process of reconnecting after a period of distance. Forgiveness, letting go of past mistakes and moving forward with a fresh perspective.
Healing, the emotional repair that occurs after the time apart, allowing them to come back stronger. Renewal, the sense of starting fresh in their relationship, with a deeper understanding and commitment.
Vulnerability, the willingness to open up and express fears, hopes, and desires as they rebuild their bond.